Hey guys, what's up? I'm back, and this is my first ever reaction video. And today I'm going to be reacting to Llama Arts. So Llama Arts is this channel where they animate stories. So like, for example, Bus Stop Horror Story, Creepy Christmas Time Story, Scary Vacation Story. But I'm only going to be reacting to 3. But today I'm going to be reacting to their latest video that I've already watched, A Creepy Deep Web Story 2. And make sure to go subscribe to their channel. I've already subscribed, as you can see, and turn on their notifications. I'm doing it right now. So let's get into this. Scary story.
Are you tired of having no friends? Yeah. Are you tired of ranting on Insta about having no one to chat with?
Okay, let's get started.
I was 26 years old, and I was
26.
unemployed. Feeling unfulfilled by the monotony of a job life, I decided I would try my hand at working from home. So my days and nights comprised me of surfing the internet for any jobs I could get.
Okay.
I was a big procrastinator, so more often than not, I'd stray away and waste
So he's a procrastinator.
time doing other things. One day, I came across talk about the deep web while on Reddit. I felt amused by the people talking about it as if it was something so...
Guys, a reminder, do not go on the deep web. The deep web is a very bad place where people sell drugs, weapons. You can hire hitmen to kill people and a lot of other very bad things. And I repeat, do not go on the deep web. Just stick to the regular internet. Do not go on the deep web. Please, guys, for your own safety, do not go on the deep web. People can hack you on there, and people can even trace your location. Please do not go on the deep web. Let's continue.
And decided I'd look into it. It was stupid of me to go on it in the first place, but I made it even sillier by deciding to check it out late at night. It was about 2 a.m. and I came across a website where you could chat with someone anonymously. The person I got was a woman. She was in her early 20s and very pretty. She sat with her head in her hands, looking playful into the webcam while batting her eyes. I had no desire to turn my camera on and started our chat.
So it's either he's being seduced or he's being tricked.
Thinking that while I didn't come across anything scary, I could befriend this pretty girl. It sounded like a better deal anyway. She told me to turn the camera on, but I ignored that request and tried to get her to talk. She finally did after some prodding, but I noticed how guarded she was. I also noticed how after every message I sent, her eyes would look off camera, either to her side or somewhere behind her computer. After a while, it started getting annoying.
Oh, so there's a chance that there's someone with her.
So I asked her if someone else was there with her.
I want to see you first.
She said. Up until now, I'd been chatting while she'd answered my questions verbally. I'm not that curious,
Don't be scared.
she said, laughing, this time looking behind the laptop again and making a face that seemed to indicate she was laughing at my expense, with someone else. This is getting boring. It feels like I'm not just talking to you.
That's because you're not. You're talking to all of us.
Who else is there?
Turn your camera on.
Is this a joke?
Oh no.
Turn it on.
Don't turn on your camera, dude.
I'll be leaving now.
Turn on the camera.
Her laughter was almost piercing by now. There was nothing humorous about the situation, yet she threw her head back with riotous laughter.
Oh no.
I'd had enough and moved the cursor over to turn the chat box off when I saw the cursor had jammed. The only thing that was working was the chat box, and I still had access to the keyboard.
Turn the camera on, sweetie.
Her gumdrop-filled voice was louder than before, and and I moved my gaze up to see her smiling toothfully at the camera. Her face still beautiful, but the smile completely fake.
Oh
My
no.
computer's crashed. I can't see the screen. Sorry. I lied. I didn't want her to know I had no option but to chat. Her screen flashed before going blank. There was nothing there but a black screen. I felt relieved, thinking that at least I didn't need to talk to her while I tried to figure out what happened to the screen. Just then, a chat message popped.
Open that.
There's a rumor going around that Trevor Holt has the biggest you-know-what in...
Popped up.
Open the damn camera.
The aggressiveness in the message frightened me. Now, the fact that I couldn't see her face while she typed this made me feel nervous. I didn't dare reply back, but then the cursor moved. I watched shell-shocked as the cursor twirled around the screen.
Open the camera now.
I still didn't make a move. There was no way anything good would be waiting for me if I did what she asked. The screen began flickering, as if a virus was causing the computer to writhe in agony.
Do you want me to find you?
My heart raced. Could it be possible she knew where I was? I
Yes.
started
Do
typing.
not go on the deep
Please
web.
stop bothering me.
Then turn on the fucking camera.
By this point, I thought she was some kind of sadist who got her kicks by scaring unassuming people in chat rooms. So I obliged and turned the webcam on. I saw my frightened face staring into the screen. Judging by my face, my attempts at looking tough were painfully unsuccessful. I asked around for the girl looking straight into the camera, telling her I did what she wanted and to stop hacking into my computer. There were several seconds of silence. I kept my stare directed to the little box that showed her camera feed,
Oh no.
but it was pitch black. I motioned into the camera in confusion, feeling as if she was messing with me now.
Oh
Then
no.
I saw another
Don't go on the
message.
deep web, guys.
Look here.
After a few seconds of staring at those words, I looked back at her camera, but my computer instantly malfunctioned, and I received another message.
Look here. Don't look up.
The chat was filled with nonsensical gibberish. She typed with such ferocious speed, my screen whirled away with her constant messages. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I didn't look up. My patience ran thin, and I wrote back, "What is this supposed to mean?" Her response came. I read only the letters in bold and shuddered. I looked back into her webcam, and I fell back into my chair, my eyes widening. She was back there. Only her face looked completely demented. She had a savage expression, devoid of emotion, but her eyes were almost popping out of their sockets, and she was huffing as if she had extreme amounts of pent-up rage. The way she looked directly into the camera made me feel she despised me with all of her being. There was no amusement there anymore.
Oh
Her
no.
camera went blank again. Then the chat popped up. My heart stopped again. For a split second, there had been the same blackness, only for the lights to come back on.
Oh no.
She wasn't alone anymore. There was a man next to her with a black mask on. He made no movements other than look into the camera like the girl. The girl's neck creaked to her side. It looked like it was causing her pain. And then the lights went out again.
Oh no.
The chat resumed. This time, I screamed in fright and fell off my chair. There was another man with them now.
Oh no.
He was standing next to the girl with the original one on the other side. This man had the same mask on, but his hands were grasping the girl's shoulders.
Guys, do
Even
not
with the
go on the
subpar
deep
quality
web.
of the webcam, I could see the force with which the man dug his hands into the girl. It looked like he could rip her in two. The girl, however, had a huge grin on her face. Her eyes were mad with glee, or so it looked. Her teeth were perfectly lined up as her mouth spread into that toothy grin, but I could see she was in pain. Even with the smallest sign of her smile fading, the man clenched his hands even tighter than before, which made her smile even wider. All three of them were shaking, as if it was extremely cold where they were. After a couple seconds, I realized they were shuddering, like trying to hold back laughter. "What are you laughing at?" I yelled into the screen.
Oh no.
They didn't answer and continued to tremor with concealed hilarity.
Oh no.
"What is so damn funny?" I bellowed.
Oh no.
They stopped shaking. Within a couple seconds, the screen went black again. When it turned back on, the man no longer grasped the girl's shoulder. Neither was she smiling. All three pointed into the camera. Upon a closer look, I understood that they weren't pointing at me. They were pointing behind me. I didn't need to look back. I could see myself in the webcam. There was someone peeking from behind me. It was another man in a mask.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay guys, because I watched this video before to see if this is family friendly, it is not very. It has a glimpse of gore. And guys, if you don't know what gore is, it's technically blood and guts and bones. So guys, if you are under the age of 10, skip through this video or stop watching it. There are other fun videos that I post that you can watch. But please, if you are under the age of 10, do not watch the rest of this video.
And according to what I saw on my webcam, he was with me in my room, right behind me. I turned around quickly, but saw nothing where I had seen him in the webcam. I turned back towards the screen and,
Oh no.
to my bewilderment,
Oh,
saw a
no.
third man in the girl's chat box. It was the same man I had just seen standing in my room.
Oh no.
Now, all three had their hands on the girl
Oh, no.
and were gripping tight. The girl wasn't laughing anymore. She had a look of utter devastation.
Oh no.
A tear was dropping from her eye. But it wasn't just a tear. It was blood trickling down her eye socket. She then mouthed the words, "Help me," and the next second she screamed as if her lungs were being ripped off as the screen went black. I immediately got up and pulled the plug out of my computer and backed out of the room. For a couple seconds, I swear I heard her screams, even though the computer was unplugged. The room went quiet, but I was too devastated to stay there and ran out of my house despite it being 3 a.m. I caught a cab and went over to my friends, who had to talk me down for an hour before I could be calmed. I returned back to my house with my friend a day later. Everything was the same, and after thoroughly checking around the house, we concluded that there was no one there, nor was there a sign of anyone ever having broken in. I've never gone back to the deep web. My friend
you
suggested
shouldn't. You
it might
shouldn't
have been
even
some
have
prank
gone
by
on
computer
there.
hackers, but the way that girl shrieked, the terror she had on her face, it convinced me she had been a victim herself. I'd wondered if I had stayed on for longer, if I would have become a victim too. Could those men have found me? Was there really someone in the room with me? There was nothing I could do, because there was nothing concrete to report to the police. What I did do was throw the computer out and buy a new one.
Yeah, no crap. No crap. If you ever go on the deep web, guys, throw out your computer and anything that you have went on the deep web with. Once you go on the deep web, they have access to everything. Everything, guys. This is why I keep on telling you, do not go on the deep web for all of your safety. Please don't.
There was no way I could even open it back up after what happened.
Exactly. Okay. So that was the end of this one. So now let's go to the other one that we're watching. It is called A Bus Stop Horror Story. Let's watch. Okay. A Bus Stop Horror Story.
This happened when I was 17 years old. I would go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week and ride the bus home. It was a Sunday and I had just missed my bus, so I had to wait longer for another one. I would have called my parents, but they were out for the evening, and taxis charged more, so I decided to sit and wait in the bus shelter. It was a cold night, and snow had just started peppering the ground. My bus was taking longer than usual, so I got my phone out and listened to some music. Almost an hour had passed. It was freezing, and I hadn't seen anyone at all. That was until I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. It was a creepy guy dressed in thick layers of clothing, walking slowly towards me. I knew staring at him would draw more attention, so I just focused on my phone. He sat down at the other end of the shelter and just stared at me.
No.
There was something
This
off
is the guy
about him.
that's gonna do
He seemed
something
like he
to
was
him,
either
right?
drunk or on drugs. He then asked, "When is the bus due?" I took out my earphones and said, "I think it's delayed because of the snow." He stared at me for a while, then started mumbling to himself. He was really starting to creep me out, so I pretended to be on my phone. After a couple of minutes, I took another look. He moved closer to me. I looked away for a second, then heard the sound of him sliding even closer. I turned to him and
Oh
said,
no.
"You okay there?" He stared at me with glossy eyes, lifted his
Oh,
arm
no.
and leaned towards me. Immediately, I
Oh,
grabbed my
no.
bag and ran as he fell to the ground. I ran down the road, trying my hardest not to look
Oh,
back.
no.
I kept going until I got to the next bus stop. I turned around to check to see if he was there. He was gone, so I went to sit down. Feeling relieved, I rested my head on the back of the glass and waited for the bus. I jolted and turned around to see
no.
the same guy staring at me through the glass. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Then he started walking around the shelter towards me. "I'm warning you, stay back!" I yelled in panic as I was backing up. I wanted to run, but I left my bag in the shelter and I couldn't leave without it. Suddenly, the man leaped at me and I quickly moved out of the way.
Oh, no.
He fell to the ground face first. I froze in shock, then noticed the blood coming from his face. I tried to get a response out of him, but nothing worked. I called the police and paramedics, and they arrived shortly after. I told them what had happened, and they told me that the guy was on prescription drugs. They found a photo in his wallet of him and his son. The boy looked just like me, so we assumed he thought I was him. I later learned that he had lost his son in a custody battle and went off the rails.
Oh no.
He was taken away for treatment. That was the last I saw of him.
Oh no.
I got my driver's license shortly after, and have never been on a bus since.
Yeah, guys, like I said the last time, no crap, avoid. If your parents have not taught you stranger danger, they are bad parents. I do not mean to offend you or your parents in any way, but if they did not teach you stranger danger, they're bad parents. So guys, stay away from strangers, yeah. And the last and final story that we will be watching today is a creepy Christmas time story.
Well, so what we're gonna do right now, oh my god,
Okay. So,
It was
a
November of
creepy Christmas time
2006.
story.
I was a 16-year-old kid living in the town of Altoona, Iowa. I went to bed early one night because I had to work the early shift at McDonald's. As I slept, I had a dream that I was running through downtown Des Moines, but I wasn't on a jog. I was running from something. As I ran around the corner of a building, I came face to face with my pursuer. A tall man wearing a trench coat and a top hat stood in front of me.
Ew!
The only thing visible of his face was his
Ew! Yeah? Okay, guys. I'm sorry, but I have to go see my dad real quick. I'll be right back.
when the figure from my dream appeared at the foot of my bed.
Ew!
I scrambled back to my headboard.
Ew, that looks so
What do you want?
gross.
I asked,
His eyes
trying to
look
hide the
so
shakiness in my
gross.
voice. With the same bony
Ew.
finger, it pointed at me. Growing up in a religious home, I believed what I was looking at was a demon. I told the creature to leave, just waved its finger at me, and with a low voice, it spoke to me. Never leave. Always here. The creature then screamed loudly and disappeared. A feeling of nausea came over me, and I vomited on my floor. The last thing I remember was cleaning myself up and waking up to my alarm. It's been about a month since I had seen the top hat wearing man in my bedroom. The Christmas season was in full effect. My parents weren't home because they got invited to some kind of event. So it was only me and my 3 sisters at home.
Oh, that
I had
was
to wake
scary,
up early in the
guys.
morning for work, so I decided to go to sleep.
Oh no.
I rested my head on my pillow and closed my eyes. Not even 30 seconds passed until my sisters burst into my room and started singing obnoxious songs. This, of course, made me very angry, but I thought if I ignored them that they would leave me alone. This was not the case. As I pulled the blankets over my head, I started to feel the same cold feeling that I had in November. As the obnoxious singing subsided, I lowered the blanket below my eyes and saw the man standing in the corner of my room.
No.
In one swift motion, he charged towards me, and I blacked out. When I finally came to, I found that my sisters had locked themselves inside the bathroom. As I knocked on the door, they told me to go away. I asked them what happened, and all they could say was Mom and Dad were on their way home. I looked down and saw that my hand was slightly bloody. Holes were in the bathroom door, and a broom was sticking out of the wall. I then walked into the living room and found that there were knives stuck into the wall as well. The same wave of nausea passed over me, just like in November, and I threw up again. As I was cleaning up, my parents walked through the door. My father immediately walked over to me and gave me a good beating. Then he sent me to my room. I went to bed crying. Not from the beating. I was crying because of the confusion. I had no idea what was going on. The next morning, my sisters reluctantly sat next to me and told me what had happened. They said I got angry and chased them down and tried to hurt them. They said my eyes were red to the point where they thought I was bleeding from them. They said I sounded like a different person. In 2011, that was the last time I saw the top hat wearing man. I just moved into a new apartment, and after a long, stressful day of unpacking, I took a shower and got ready for bed.
Oh no.
As I started to drift off, I could feel that cold feeling again. I lifted my head and saw the man standing in front of me.
Oh no.
The man's eyes were red now. With a low voice, just like on that November night,
Oh no.
it looked at me and said, "Never leave. Always here."
Oh no. Oh my gosh, guys, that was so scary. That was literally super scary, guys. Oh my gosh, my heart is racing. Okay, guys, I'm officially creeped out. For more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.